So I want to talk to you about how you build an irrigation ditch today. Hi. Anyway, so a surveyor's rod, engineer's rod, is in feet and tenths. So you got 5 feet, 1/10, 2, 3, such. So there's 10 tenths in a foot. And then there's also 10 hundredths in a tenth. So when you design an irrigation ditch, or let's say you're going to move one, so first thing you want to do is you're going to go to the ditch, and this is like the cross section of the ditch here, and this is your high water mark, and every ditch will have a high water mark. What you're going to do is you're going to come clear up here to the top of the ditch, and you're going to find that high water mark, and you're going to shoot that, and then you're going to come clear to the bottom, find the high water mark again, and you're going to split the difference in that. So generally we use 1/10 per hundred to build ditches. 2/10 will get you some pretty speedy water, but anything above 2/10 will start eroding the ditch really bad. So you put a stake in every 100 feet because you're going to give it 1/10 per 100 feet. So in this example, we've got 4 stations, so you're going to drop 4/10 over the whole ditch. When you get into less than 100th per 100 fall, you better put in hubs and feathers and get it right on the nuts, or they're going to have problems with it. So this is going to be your ditch pad when you're done. There's your slope, and you're going to build that ditch pad to high water grade. So that whole thing is going to be, the top flat part of it is going to be high water grade. And then when you come in here and you cut this out right here and you pull all this material out and you put it up here, with most ditches, if you used a V-type pull behind ditcher, that will give you 1 foot of freeboard, and that's plenty. So with mine out there, I have more than 1 foot. Once the water comes in, I'll cut down this excess and slope it off nice. So let's go outside and I'll show you how to actually cut the ditch with the grader. This has got 1/10 of fall per 100 feet. Each one of those stakes is spaced 100 feet apart. So when you build a ditch, an irrigation ditch, basically you just put the stakes out there and you just put a grade line on them, and then you run your fill up to the grade line. It rained and rained and rained, and it's dried out, so it's time to get this ditch cut and get it done. So I'm going to put the cameras on the grader and show you how I do this. Okay, for the first initial pass to get in the middle of the pad, I have swung the blade all the way out. So as I tip down the tip of the, as I push the tip of the blade down, that's going to move over that way. So it's not in the center of the machine, but as soon as I shove it down, it's going to be in the center of the machine. And I'm going to do this for a while till I get that cut, and then probably clear till I push some material under those rear tires and tip it up, and then I'll bring the blade back around to the level position and finish cutting it. Okay, we're starting to get it pulled out. So I've made one pass that's down and back up. So I'm working on the second one. As soon as I can get those wheels on the dirt, I'll roll the moldboard back around flat. So what you want to do is, when you do it, if you have to do it this way with a big machine, I just eyeballed it. If you've never done this before, you might want to paint some marks down for the middle. But when I get done with this ditch, the bottom of it's going to be as wide as these tires on the grader, and she's going to look good. So anyway, I'll keep going and I'll show you how this works out. Okay, I'm gonna keep on cutting it with my saddle indexed all the way up. Now, one of the problems you're gonna run into on a cat grader is they side shift the farthest to the right. That's why I'm doing it in the direction that I am. When I get on the last passes, I will go the other way. I'll be able to do it, but for right now, I'm always tilted to the left and my high side's on the right. Now, in order to have some travel on this cylinder here, you've got to side shift yourself out like this, and that pulls that up and away, and then you've got some, by the time I put down this other side, see, when I put this other side down, that lifts that up. So I'm going to adjust my cut out here, sliding the board and tilting it, and that'll, the more I tilt it down, the more I cut. The more I tilt it back, the higher it's going to raise it. So when I start cutting, I'm going to go down with the cylinder and then use this, and I just need a little bit of movement on the cylinder, but you've got to do all that monkeying around to get it right and make it work. So the ditch is starting to look good. We'll just go through it and through it till we get that bank packed down and we get a nice even slope all the way through and a good looking bottom. So there's one other trick you can do, and it works really well with a big blade. If you're trying to clean a small ditch, if it doesn't have if it's not on a great big fill and you've got room, what you want to do is you want to keep your front wheels in the bottom of the ditch, and then you want your moldboard to always be cutting out there right to the outside of the tire, and when I come back the other way it'll do it on the other side. Anyway, we'll eventually end up with a nice flat bottom the width of that tire, but you articulate the back end. And what I've done with small ditches that I wanted to keep super steep on the edges is I go with a really hard articulation, and that puts my two grader wheels up on the bank, and then I keep my front end down in the bottom of the ditch. And so that's what this looks like. You can see that I can get it super steep now, and then that's what it's going to look like from the back of the machine. And you want this wheel over here compacting all this loose material, because this is going to be your bank. So that black line right there is high water, so anything above that is freeboard. So as long as I get that compacted and I get it 10-12 inches above that line, that's gobs of freeboard. Anyway, it's going to be a big ditch, so I've never had a problem with water running over it. So we'll probably go up this side one more time with the blade cocked like this, and then I may roll it around. I don't know. It seems to be working pretty well. Maybe I'll just do the whole thing this way, because when I go to get out, it's super nice to roll that blade clear up out of the way so I can crawl out of the ditch without tearing the ditch up with the moldboard. This is one of the side effects to doing this with a machine with big rubber. I've done this before, but I've pushed the sidewall over hard enough that I've opened the O-ring, and then it's rolled it. Anyway, it's ruined the O-ring. And I did it going around the corner back there. I didn't articulate it, and you can see it rubbed the sidewall and pushed it in. So now I get to go put an O-ring in it. I dicked it up. You can see it's out of the groove here. I don't know what happened there. There's no stuff on it, and it's messed up here. Anyway, I think it just rolled it. So I don't know if I could just smear some grease on it and pump it up again, or if I probably should just replace the damn O-ring. Why don't I do that? Just replace the O-ring, Jeff. Okay, got a new O-ring in it. We're ready to go if it will push it out. I didn't really see anything wrong with this one. I think it just rolled it and it wasn't in the groove, but I don't know. We'll just put a new one in. So I've had this happen once before with those Michelin radials. And it's just from being in a ditch like that with these big wide base tires. You really have to keep that blade out there and cutting so they're not rubbing, and then use your articulation to keep those sidewalls away from that straight up and down edge. But it's really super hard to do, and so you can cut a ditch with these, but this is some of the crap you go through. It'd be best if I had a 140G or even a 14 with the narrow rubber. But anyway, I'm gonna get it done one way or the other. So I'm ready to goose some air to it. Let me go find a camera and set it up. Oh, there we go. Woohoo! Here we come. Okay, I'm gonna go get a hammer to tap that. Make sure it seats. Okay, looks good. I'm gonna stand over here. I don't want to be nowhere near it. There's the metal collection I found cleaning the ditch. Now that right there is a tire killer, a spade. Busted that off and left it in the ditch. Okay, I'm making the final passes on the ditch now, and one of the things you'll notice is that when I came through here on the left side, that I had the moldboard clear over here, and the reason for that is I can't have the rear wheels rubbing on this straight up and down edge. So I had myself crab walking a little up to the top, and I'll show you where I had my track end up. But on this last final pass, I'm not going to have the moldboard clear over here and cut another straight up and down wall. I'm down to the grade I want to be. How do I know that? Well, because I've hogged out enough that a 14 will sit on this with the wheel on the very top bank compacting it. And so I know from doing this from experience that that's it. Don't want to go any more than that. So here's how that looks. So you got your moldboard just running the material right up here, and then your wheel runs over it. And then that's how I'm running the moldboard here, is just right down here along the edge, and then you can see where I'm cutting hard, and then the uncompacted material, which is falling down, and then that rear wheel is running over it. And then that's what the finished ditch looks like. So on this side though, she's clear over here, and this is kind of one of the problems you're going to run into trying to cut a ditch with a big machine like this. Really, I should probably make another pass on this side and really roll some material up here and get it compacted under these wheels. But I'm right on the corner here, and I'm kind of skinny right in here because I moved the ditch from running over there and back in to curving it straight. I should have done that from the get-go. I just kind of screwed up. So as we get down here, that windrow is going to fall right in front of that tire, and it's going to compact it down. And then when I'm done, I'll come in here and this will all get sloped. That's how you build a ditch. Your first time through, you're going to be screaming and yelling, but you'll figure it out. My suggestion is use a 140. Use something smaller, something that isn't 10 feet wide. You just got to experiment, learn how to do it. But this is kind of the basics of how I do it. So this is where we get water there on the left. You'll see that check structure. They're running water through the canal right now. Canal on the right is the one Mr. TD24, my brother, was cleaning the other day in the video that you saw. We're the last ones on our canal here. So you can imagine what it's like trying to get our water. It's just always been a battle. So you'll see a ditch on the right over there in the grain field, then the canal, then the one Mr. TD24 was cleaning. So our water travels along the edge of that grain field, comes down, goes under this canal that he cleaned, and then on down past my shop. Basically this water is just wastewater now going through here and back to the river. We're the last ones on the ditch, like I said. So as we come around this corner, you're going to notice a big hole in the right hand side of this canal bank, and this canal's trying to wash into the other canal, and both the canal companies are being babies about it, pointing fingers at the other one, telling that each other that it's their responsibility. So I guess they're going to wait till it washes into the other canal to fix it. Probably be this summer. So here's the ditch that goes on down to my shop, and I cleaned it all after I changed the one and recut it all. I came all the way up through here and cleaned it. This is our runway on the right hand side. It's 2,750 feet long, 75 feet wide, and we flood irrigate that, and it's listed in the FAA guidebook as the Anderson Strip, and it's been here since I think sometime in the 50s, way before I was born. So it's been here a long time. Dad has always had airplanes and flew. And then right here is the start of my hayfield, and it waters out of this ditch. And we use siphon tubes, big siphon tubes, to irrigate it. You can see them laying there in the hayfield. And a lot of people ask me why I went to all this, did all this work. Well, as you watched my videos through the winter and you saw me do all this and expand my yard and move this ditch, it was a lot of work. Took a lot of time in my spare time, and that's why I've been putting it off for so long, is because I knew how much work it would be. So here's the corner where the old ditch meets the new one, and you can see I've expanded my yard quite a bit, gained a lot of area, and it's been super nice because I can run the lowboy through the yard with something on it, and there's not equipment parked all over. So anyway, this ditch goes down past the shop, and it goes down to the airplane hangars. We can water the lower end of the runway with it. It irrigates 3 yards here. I don't use it for mine. I have an underground sprinkler system. There's all my yellow dinosaurs lined up and parked there. And on this side is where I wanted to expand the shop. So now I've got this all out of the way, I can start to focus on that. And then this area on the left, right up here with all the dirt, this is where I piled all my topsoil. And I've got some plans with the topsoil, and then the rest I'm going to smear around in this area and plant some grass and some trees and stuff in here, and then this little area will get flooded. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned how to cut a ditch, and we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, finally getting a whiteboard done. It's been a hell of a week. It's been a really tough week. Tell you about it sometime. Anyway, want to introduce you to some of my awesome subscribers. Want to start out with Jim Narr from Youngstown, Ohio. Thank you, Jim. Jerry Knoll from North Newton, Kansas. Thank you, Jerry. Chad Simmons, he's from Knoxville, Tennessee. Thanks, Chad. Greg Farrell from Lake Macquarie in Australia. Thank you very much for subscribing clear down there. And one of your mates, Mark Bars from Eaton's Hill in Queensland, Australia. That's, I believe he said Eaton's Hill, that's in Brisbane. Thank you boys for subscribing clear down there. And Brandon and Aaron Johnson, they're from Joplin, Missouri. That would be these two lovely people. Elite Earthworks on YouTube and Mrs. Elite Earthworks. Nice lady. You're a lucky man, Brandon. Ronald Spruill from Fort Worth, Texas. Thank you, Ronald. And Joe Field from Georgetown, California. Hey, so I want to thank Olivia for doing my whiteboard for me. She writes better than I do, and she's 7. Anyway, thanks, Olivia, for doing that. Thank you guys for subscribing and supporting me, and we'll see you next time. Hey, everybody. Just wanted to ask you how you're faring, all this lockdown stuff. We haven't been doing a whole lot. I hope this isn't an indication of things to come for the rest of the year. Let me know in the comments below if you've been laid off, if you're working from home, or how this deal has affected you. I'd love to hear from you, where you're from, and what's going on. Anyway, stay safe. We'll see you next time.